Last year, I took part in a interesting little experiment called NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writers Month, and it's been going on, I think, since the 1970s. And for the month of November, you are encouraged to sit down and come up with an original manuscript. And the goal is starting on November 1st, All Saints Day, and going through November 31st, come up with 50,000 words. And I appreciated the fact that I started it on All Saints Day because I needed all their help to get it done. In the midst of everything else, what a lot of people don't know is I have a secret identity as Santa Claus. And my season starts in the middle of November. So I had to write a manuscript. I committed myself to that, to write 50,000 words by the end of the month. I'm also pursuing my bachelor's degree in psychology with a special focus on forensic psychology. I was a professional Santa, and I broke my ribs. 3 of them. You know what muscles you kind of use when you are a Santa and you have to go, ho, ho, ho? You know what muscles you use when you have to pick a kid up and put him on your lap? Anyone want to take a guess where the Santa bell goes? And guess what? Even sitting in a chair, working at a keyboard, slump over too far, sit in one spot too long. Yeah, it was quite a challenge. But you know something? On November 31st, I was able to sit and look at this manuscript, and I saw that I had 51,911 words. It was fantastic. And so I start getting ready to go back and do an edit. You know, I just sat and I wrote. I'm getting there and I'm going back and I'm editing and started looking around to send it off. Made a very interesting discovery. Publishers want, for a cozy, which I thought this would turn out to be, a minimum of 65,000. Okay, we go back and we do another edit. This time not to necessarily smooth things out, but to flesh things out. And this has been good because I've been able to catch some weaknesses in plots, weaknesses in storylines, too many red herrings. Some good came out of all of the suffering, all of the swearing, all of the throwing pencils and pens across the room. So how do you sit down and edit and polish and get it ready to send off for somebody else to do the same? You read through, and as strange as it's going to sound, read it out loud. Yes, read it out loud. Who cares how silly that might sound? You're alone, except maybe the dog or the cat, and if they're anything like mine, they really are kind of used to me talking to myself so they don't get too worked up. Okay, if you're doing all your editing at a Starbucks or a coffee shop or a library, yeah, that might get you a few stares, but do it at home. Read it out loud. How does it sound? Because when you're reading it on the page, you're still reading it in the voice you used when you were telling it, when you were thinking about it, when you were planning it out. Like I've said before, when you're working it out in your head, you know all of the backstories, all of the plots, all of the little secrets that everybody has. That doesn't automatically translate onto the page. You've got to put it in there. You've got to figure out where it fills in. Well, does it fill in? Does it fit? Do I save this for later? Do I just have this as something that kind of hints at a character, their reaction, their response, their trigger, their motivation? So sit, read out loud, hear how it works, hear how it doesn't, figure out how to fix it. That's the best way to edit. And I will tell you right now, whoever's reading it after that will be doing the same thing. Even after it gets published, they'll read through and say, okay, this part seemed a little dry. This didn't make much sense. Why did they do X, Y, Z? I wouldn't get discouraged, because if you follow things on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, people are debating certain, what they consider a plot hole in The Lord of the Rings, as to why the Fellowship of the Ring didn't take Gandalf's advice to go to the Eagles and fly to Mordor and take care of everything. And they're arguing back and forth about how that should have been done, how that was impossible. So don't worry about coming up with plot holes. Don't worry about eliminating all of them, because somebody's going to find one, simply because readers just have to do that. They have to somehow get involved in the creative process, and that's a good thing. So sit down, write your manuscript. Just write it. Pour it out onto that page, onto that screen, into that notebook. However, then sit back, read it out loud, because then you're going to be reading it from another point of view. That's the best way to edit. Others probably have other techniques and other things that work for them. That's the way that has worked best for me. So I wish you luck, and hopefully I will have a chance to read what you wrote someday, and I will try to be very merciful when I find what I think might or might not be plot holes.